All right, so it is a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, and I'm back here at my new garden working on my bonsai benches. But I figured that I would show you a video that I worked on back in August of this year that I did right before I had my big move in September. So I'm finally getting around to editing some videos. So let me show you a little kiwi that I worked on back in September, and then I'll show you what that kiwi looks like today as soon as it's done. All right, so here we have my kiwi tree that I grew from seed. I've had this growing, man, I think I started growing this in 2022, if I remember right. I think I first showed it on the channel here around, the early parts of 2023 when it was just a little seedling, and now you can see this thing is growing like crazy. So I did my first prune on this earlier this year. I believe it was January of this year. It was growing like crazy last year, and I just let it grow nuts. And yeah, in January I cut it back hard. And comparing it to where it's at right now in August of 2025, this thing is growing so crazy. And it's actually making it a little bit difficult to water just based on how big these leaves are and how many they are. And I gotta really get my watering can in there to water this tree. So you can see up at the top that the vine is actually wrapping around itself. There's two main leaders, I believe, on this tree. And at some point they just kind of like wrapped around each other and started really twisting themselves up. And I kind of just let them do that because it doesn't really matter. I knew that I was going to be chopping off that growth up on top, so I just let them do their thing. So what I want to do today is give this a pretty hard prune. And I figured I'd try to grow some cuttings from these because when I pruned it earlier this year, the cuttings that I tried to propagate, the branches were still dormant, so I think that might be a reason why they never took. But either way, let's prune this back and see what this thing looks like. All right, so wow, yeah, just look at the size of these leaves compared to my hand. They're huge. Like that one right there. Crazy big. So I just cleaned off my tools here. So I think the first prune that I want to do, I think I'm gonna kind of rough prune it out a little bit. And I think I want to leave at least a couple leaves on each of the branches. And I think I'm going to start by cutting this branch here, which this branch starts right here and has 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves. I think that's a good spot to snip it back at. So I'm just going to snip it here. And then if I spin the tree around, and I think I'm going to cut this one back here as well and get rid of all that top growth. There it goes. Look at all that growth. You can actually see a little bit of what's going on. And we will say a little bit because it's still a little shaggy. So if we examine the tree a bit, we have our main trunk down here, comes up and splits into two. This one comes up and then has a branch here that splits into, is that 1, 2, and 3? Looks like this little bit here never did anything, but we do have 3 branches right there. I might keep 3 branches on here just so I have more options in the spring of what I want to do. But I think I will take this branch down one more Maybe 2 more. We have a leaf scar right here, a leaf here, and a leaf back here. So I think it might be okay if I clip this part back right here just to get rid of some of these longer, large leaves here. Leaving room for dieback. So now this comes up and we have one branch here that didn't really seem to do anything. This one really took over, and this branch just kind of stopped growing because it probably didn't get a whole lot of sunlight. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get some bud back on one of these little leaves here and get another branch going. And looking at this branch that comes up, we have, I think just, whoop, oh, I just broke that off. Well, it was kind of a dying leaf anyway. So yeah, we have it splits into 2 here. This one comes up and extends up higher. We do have this little dead bit here, or is it dead or is it just dormant? I think it's dead. Let's cut it back. Yeah, that was dead. Which makes me think, is this one over here dead? You know, this one that had 3 there? I think it is. So I will take that back. Yep, that's dead too. Here's what that looked like. Here's what that looked like. Oh, this one might have had a little bit of life in it, but there was no buds on there, so I don't think it would have ever grown. So this one comes up, does a little curve, and I think we could take it back to right in between these 2 leaves here and still be safe with some more life in the tree with that leaf, that leaf, that leaf, and there's one back here. So if I take it back to right here, I just can't get over how large these leaves are. They're so big. Not ideal for bonsai, but they're just fun to grow. All right, so here's all our cuttings, and I have some various types of cuttings here. Some that have a couple nodes down here, some that I left leaves on, some that I didn't leave any of the leaves on. And I'm just gonna kind of experiment and see how these will grow. So I'll put these into probably a mixture of just like wet sand, and let them grow for a while and see what happens. If they don't take, it's not a big deal. It's free cuttings, so if they take, they take. If they don't, they don't. No big deal. So hopefully we'll come back to these in the future and we'll have some little buds popping out of these little propagations. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to stop today. I think this is kind of our front right here, or maybe more along the lines of here. So some of these leaves are a little less than ideal, but I think we'll leave it here. Hopefully the tree can get a little bit more light into the canopy a little bit. This is probably our more ideal front right here. I don't think we want it there. With these large leaves, it's really hard to tell what's going on. So, and while it does have these big leaves and not ideal for bonsai, it's still cool for me because this is a kiwi that I grew from a fruit that I bought at a grocery store, saved the seed, and now it's growing into something. And you know, maybe once we get the trunk going here and we start to branch out a bit more, we could have the leaves be a little bit higher on the canopy and make sure that there's no leaves down here, so it's more of a bare trunk and the lower branches are a bit more bare. That way you can see what's actually going on the structure of the tree down here, and then have some of these larger leaves up top that would maybe cascade down. I'm not sure. This is another experiment that I'm curious to see how it will grow. And it's cool because I grew it from seed, so that's pretty awesome. Now, as far as repotting, I have not repotted this kiwi vine yet. If anybody out there has experience with repotting kiwi vines, let me know. I'm a little hesitant to repot this just because I'm not sure how they take to getting their roots pruned. So if anybody out there has any knowledge about root pruning kiwi vines, please, please, please let me know. Because I was debating repotting this in the spring. But I'm a little cautious about doing it just because this is my only one and I don't want to kill this one. So yeah, if anybody has any info, let me know. But yeah, I think we'll leave it here for this kiwi. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this will grow in the coming years. All right, here we are back in the garden, and here is that kiwi in October of 2025. So you can see that it is growing and it came back from that prune just fine. It has some new leaves here. You can see all this fresh growth that came out there. And then if I spin it around, we have some more fresh growth there. I mean, it looks like it's only one branch popping out, but that's fine. It bounced back all right. We got some dead leaves here, but that's no big deal. They're probably going to be falling off in the next couple weeks to a month or so, because this thing does tend to go dormant at the end of the year. But yeah, this one's looking pretty good. So minus some of these crunchy leaves there, but like I said, that's no problem. So yeah, that is it for today. Thanks for watching.